You must believe in spring. All right, I'm gonna kind of play through this melody a little bit. So, clearly I'm not the world's greatest solo guitar player, but and then it repeats again. So, and this is where the key change happens, right? Hey, how are you? Oh yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, because it's A5. Scroll down here. Sorry for totally butchering that tune. So, but it's like, what a beautiful tune. You know, that's a nice thing about being a teacher sometimes is, you know, your students will look into stuff and it makes you kind of look into that. And, you know, clearly I have a lot of work to do on this tune, but I thought I would just, as I'm kind of exploring this and learning this, it's the classic teacher trying to stay a chapter ahead of you in the book, you know. Admittedly, for some of the other students in the class, you know, I feel a lot more comfortable, but this one's going to be more of a mutual exploration. So this one is for Adrian and Maya. I started something this with the last lesson, with the last video, that as I make these videos for students, I'm just going to mention for who they are. And I just had a thought while driving home today that it would be kind of a cool thing. I don't know if I'm still doing this. Right now I'm working at CS Arts in Duarte. If I'm still working in there a few years from now, it would be fun to kind of hear some of these old names, you know, and you know, think about where you guys are in the world as you go out there and do stuff, and be like, oh yeah, Adrian, Maya, man, they're doing great. So I was going to talk a little bit about this tune, but really I was going to kind of pivot into more a broad discussion of starting a chord progression on the sharp 4. So in this case, 4 in the key of F. You know, so starting like a B half diminished. There's like these, you know, tritone subs, but let's just to simplify it. 3, 6, 2, 5, and there's a lot of these like beautiful suspension things, but even like the little bit of listening I did of like Bill Evans playing, like the one that's in F, I think he plays with Tony Bennett. And then there's one where I believe it's either solo or trio. Let me look that up. I had that over here. Yeah. Let's take a listen here.
With Canva, it's so easy. It allows.
Definitely getting started with this stuff. You know, what do they say? Don't wait for perfect. I'm just trying to do these as I go without worrying about too much editing. Let me change the camera. Okay, it is trio. It's Eddie Gomez, Elliot Ziegler. But as I'm like kind of going through this, So you can hear when he's soloing. All right, I had to take a second to figure out how to put my voice here. It just felt weird to have a be talking to you and you can't see me. But so as I'm listening to this, this version is in D major. But as I'm kind of listening to it, you know. So as I'm listening to that, you know, the melody, when they're playing the melody, they do a lot of these susses, you know. So like if I'm looking at a chart like this, you know, which is maybe the lead sheet you have, it's pretty fleshed out about, and like that's good if you're like accompanying a vocalist. Certainly does this maybe in the melody, and he does this when he's playing with Tony Bennett. But as you get into the soloing stuff, you can kind of free this stuff up and think more broadly. So let's go back to the iPad. I kind of, you know, the penmanship of a 4-year-old. Definitely, I apologize about this, but let me try to explain these hieroglyphics for you. So I kind of put the 7 half diminished because it starts for key of F. Starts with an E half diminished shape, right? So if I want to, you know, when I try to chart out the number chart like this, you know, I did a real quick version. I've been experimenting with just having the arrow rather than write the 2-5 out. It's just like, okay, a 2-5 to 6. So, and then, you know, and then that's supposed to be an arrow down. Hilarious. Let's see. Let's try to make this. There you go. So, just as a kind of like, that tells me like a bass walk down, and then you can keep walking that down, by the way. 2, 5, 1, F, and then there you go, you're back to 1. And then here is the main event, is the sharp 4. So the minor 2-5s off the sharp 4, that one is almost always a half diminished. The 3 and 6, sometimes this could be a minor 7, some kind of alteration. So that can be a maybe. Same thing with the 2, although the 2-5-1 is usually like a natural, or like what would you call a regular minor 7. So that's kind of the bulk of this tune that I want to kind of talk about, because really when you get into this, you know, so there you go. It goes to the 6, and then the 4 chord. It goes to 1. And then here's your sharp 4 that basically gets you all the way to F. And it happens again, but this time, you know, okay, so far so good. 6 chord, 4 chord. There's the 2-5 to 1. But this time, rather than going to A half diminished, it shifts up a half step, right? So it goes from F to G flat. So that in itself is like a good exercise just to chord over that. So I don't know, like I'm going to try like a couple different keys. How would I do that? Let me get my other window up real quick. There we go. So iPad. It's like a Jacob Mann shirt or something like that, you know. Okay, sorry to insult Jacob Mann. His stuff is actually way better written, but I'm thinking of like that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that 1-minute jazz lesson, laying back. You know, if you haven't, man, check it out. Jacob Mann 1-minute jazz lessons, laying back. It's pretty funny, and there's an image there that he ended up. I think it became an album cover, and he turned it into a shirt. So pretty cool. At any rate, I digress. So I'll start off in F. Now, that sharp 4-7 is just, you know, you could say it's a 5 of 7. I don't know. For me, over the years, I know that sharp 4 leads to 7, so I don't have to write like some people would write, you know, 5 of 7. And that's totally cool. I guess that would be half diminished, whatever. But basically, it's just a way to kind of get you back to the top, right? So, all right, second time through. This time, when I get to that sharp 4, I'm going to make the modulation. So, here's that sharp 4. And then, to top it off, it's just, minor 5 to 6 again, right? And that's how the tune ends. So, and how do they get back into it? And then we just, then you go up a half step and you're back at the top of the tune. All right, so here's something I would do that I would recommend advanced students. So, like, I would do this when I was practicing alone, especially a lot in the pandemic. I felt like I grew a lot over it. I'm going to take it through. I'm not going to do all 12 keys on this video. I don't want to get too long, but I'll do a couple keys just to kind of demonstrate taking the changes and just practice comping these changes in different keys. So B flat. So I'm going to start on the 7th, 6 chord, and then it goes 4 chord, 2 5, B flat major. Brain's locking up. There. That's a cool little walk-up thing. I don't know if you want to do that, but so I go B flat major 7, or that's a big fat 6/9. Maybe you can get that by just looking at my hands. You don't need to see this anymore, so you can see it. Rather than writing these out, I think like Maya and Adrian, let me know if you need me to write these, but I just kind of walk it up to the sharp 4. Normally, that's what you would normally do, but I'm thinking like, oh, I'm heading to sharp 4. Maybe not that diminished chord in the middle. I gotta work that out. And now we got the half step. Go up a half step, you're back to B flat, 7 chord. So there you go. So now I did B flat. Let's go E flat. And the idea of this is, working this stuff out. I found that you kind of get out of this mode of, see if I was, what's going on here? You kind of get out of the mode of, of just kind of like doing this like karaoke, like, all right, this chord, this chord. I'm not saying you did this. I know I did this through grad school. No one really sat me down and kind of made me think this way. They would say things broadly like, yeah, man, learn stuff in 12 keys, but no one really kind of sat me down. And it wasn't until, oddly enough, I started doing a lot of country gigs and thinking in terms of the number system and getting used to looking at number charts to play tunes rather than seeing standard chord symbols. And eventually I brought that back to jazz, which, it's not like I invented that. It's just no one really ever showed it to me that way. So so this really kind of opens up my thinking. And kind of the whole point of, especially with the sharp 4, is rather than thinking of how many chords is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever that would be, E flat. Yeah, by starting. So now you can free up so much brain space because it's kind of like, the same way when you get good at walking, you don't think, oh, I'm going to walk across the room. You're not thinking like every single motion your legs are making. You can just kind of point and walk, right? So that's kind of the goal we're at with something like this and why we're learning it in different keys. So E flat major. And I thought for sake of time, I'm just going to do like, well, never mind. I'll do the whole tune. So. Wait, sorry. Actually, it was E flat. I started on the 7. So let me talk about kind of what I was doing there. I was kind of just doing tritone subs. So like, so I was going like A half diminished, E flat 9, D7 sharp 9. So if, now I'm kind of working it out. Half step. I'm kidding. All right. Half step, and like that, we've done E flat. So what happens to me, this certainly wasn't the case when I first started learning keys and 12 different songs. Learning songs in 12 different keys is that I always found like, man, the part that's going to make me quit is like between here and like the 6th key. So like say I had 2 more to go. The part where you're going to get bored or frustrated is usually in those first 6. And every time I got to like key change 6 or 7, something started to click, and it really, that's when it's I always got excited because I felt like, this tune's really getting into your playing this way. Hearing these chord changes in different keys, I don't know, it helps you learn on a different level, and you might want to try to do that with the melody as well. I don't know. I'll spare you that. I know it's easier for me to do it with the chords, but I think you get the idea. So there you go. I would do that with this. I think you would learn a lot from comping, and as I got more comfortable, then you can start throwing in tritone subs. Okay, so so there you go. There's the chordal stuff. But one of the things I wanted to talk about here, we're about 18 minutes in. If you're still with me, you're a trooper. Okay. I wanted to take this idea of sharp 4. So let's define the progression, because there's so many ways you can get through this, right? Sharp 4, half diminished. 7, some kind of 7. Let's just keep it simple because we're going to do arpeggios here. 3, half diminished, 6, 7, 2, 7, 2 minor 7, dominant 7, and then 1. Okay. I wanted to figure out a way to arpeggiate all these in all the cage systems. So I don't know. So let's start out. Let's see here. So I'm going to start with F major in 5th position. So let's see. There's a couple places you could play this. You could do a sharp 4 this way. Let's get this guy out of the way. So this would be, oh, oops. That's cool, and that might make sense if you're like, if you're trying to arpeggiate the low note. I find though, if you're gonna be soloing, most of the time you're gonna be like, maybe let's try to keep it more on the higher strings. This is certainly not gonna be the only way to play these arpeggios, but maybe they'll give you an idea. So we had a sharp 4, and then let's see, we would go to 7 dominant. All right, so that was sharp 4. The dominant 7th would be this. And this is kind of how my teacher taught me. I've been watching a lot of Jens Larson videos. God, what a great teacher that guy is. And he backs this up too. Like a great way of like working out tunes is and then so kind of mapping it out that way. So I'll show you how I'm thinking here. So we did 7 dominant. Now we're going to do a half diminished shape off of 3. So that looks like you could put this up here, or you could put the same note down here. These two notes are the same, so choose your own adventure. Both have their advantage. Maybe if you did it this way, if you're a sweeper, I'm definitely not a sweeper. I can, as you can tell, not great. But that's another way you could play too. All right, and then you could do a dominant 7th off the 6. So let's see here. First time teaching it this way, so hopefully you can follow this. So there's your 6 dominant. And then 2. Once you get to 2, 5, those are all diatonic. So let's see, maybe I could do 2 of these at a time. I'll do blue for 1, and so you can start seeing the pairs, which is like what, So a 2, 5, right, and then F major 7. Not saying you have to play this way, but man, practicing this way over the pandemic really helped me kind of, a lot of times I would jump to a different part of the neck. It's like, oh no, it's a kind of a gray area. This was kind of my project, like, hey man, all I have is time during this lockdown business. So I really took it as an opportunity to like try, I want to know every inch of this neck, and like, not that even a lot of it wouldn't be practical, but I felt like it helped give me an awareness. So one more time, just to kind of summarize, I'm trusting you can rewind the video here. Well, first let's start off with the bass motion. So, right, so it's sharp 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Right, so and eventually you kind of start learning how to tie those together. So I don't know how to. So the idea is you kind of want to be able to like play that progression in this part of the neck, right? So now let's switch over to the A shape. Okay, so I'm kind of learning as I go here. So how about let's map this out. Sharp 4. So we're gonna go. So wait, I said red to blue. It's like Khan Academy. so I'm going to outline this half diminished shape, and then we got a dominant shape here, dominant seventh. So right there, say if I'm in the key of F up here, which should look kind of familiar, right? We kind of used a similar shape for 3 and 6 on the last one. And now we're going to do 3, and this is half diminished, and then 6 is a dominant. All right, and then getting my iPad chops together. 2, 5, right, and then you got your major seventh there. I'll just for the sake of thoroughness. What's going on? Then there's your 1 major seventh. So let's kind of do the changes there. So right, and then you can, once you get comfortable with that, maybe start improvising. Oh boy, messy. Let me try. Let me play some. Hopefully that makes sense. But let me play some changes so you can kind of hear. So for me, like once I can start, obviously, you have to like work out, you work out your licks, right? I mean, I'm just kind of doing my licks at that point and things that I've learned through the years. But, but the first step to connecting them together is seeing that, and then, and so take that for example. Maybe it's just a matter of, all right, well then this is a half step down, or maybe finding things. If I want to make that a half diminished, but for me, studying stuff this way, the idea is to make the guitar disappear. That's why we're doing all this tedious work. I'm hopefully this is somewhat engaging. I apologize. You can always just say, yeah, thanks for the video. I won't ask any follow-ups. My feelings won't be hurt if you didn't watch all of this. All right. I'm just kind of using this as a chance to grow myself. All right. So sharp 4 right there. So if I go all the way up to 10th position, so our sharp 4 is going to be here now. Right? And then we got 2, 5. Minor 2, 5, that is. So 3. Shit. I mean crap. Watch, I'll get like an age restriction on lessons I'm trying to send to high schoolers. Oh boy. We'll see. Okay, so that's 3, half diminished, 6 dominant. And then 2, 5. Okay. Hear my stomach growling there, maybe. Oh, I'm playing an E here, sorry. And then finally, you know, you could, as far as like a 1-7, there's no right or wrong, but you could do this. That'd be like a low one. Or you could do the upper one, which I'm kind of leaning towards. Because that's just how I feel. I don't have any reason. So, all right, so going back to our changes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you know, I mean, I don't know, hopefully, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is just, it started off like this, but eventually, as I started seeing these things, I was able to start connecting them, and then that just started opening things up. So now I was free to kind of go, like, you know, let's say if I want, like, at some point I went back down to pattern 2. If you want to, if you're that interested, you can rewind it. But I was, you know, it helps me to start moving around the neck because I'm able to see it in all the different positions. So for thoroughness sake, we're 2 away. How are we doing on time? 30 minutes? All right. Well, you know, if you think of like a standard lesson would be an hour, which is what I wish I had with all of you. I wish I could have a 1 hour lesson with everybody. Or being able to see that. So let's find these real quick. Sharp 4, half diminished, dominant 7. All right. All right, and then 3, half diminished, 6, dominant. Right, and then 2, 5. You have a couple choices for 2. If you want to kind of keep that, the 2 chord being the low, do, da, do, da. You could play the 2 down here. And then the 5 will be there. The 5 is going to kind of be there regardless. You know, you could also do I have a third color here? So there you go, green, bonus. Look at this, all the colors of the rainbow. There you go, you got a blue, red, green. So 2, 5. There's a 1, 2 where you could do it up an octave. There's two chords, 2, 2. And then 5, you could do that. And then finally, just same deal. You could do 2 versions of F major 7. And the beauty I like of the cage system is that once you kind of learn these shapes, then it's just a matter of like what is the home key. And I think it just made it a lot easier. Once it's kind of a mental framework that allowed, I wasn't as intimidated by key changes because I'm now thinking in terms of function. And man, as guitar players, we have such a huge advantage. Us and piano players, our instrument is visual. This is really hard for, like, I talk with my friends who are like, you know, trumpet or saxophone players, any horn players. They often have to learn to play piano for them to kind of visualize. But for us, it's built into the instrument. So it's a huge advantage if we kind of learn to access that. So sharp 4, 7, half diminished 3, 6 dominant, 2, or 2 minor, 5 dominant, 1 major 7, or major 7 up an octave. So here we go. Sorry, keep one. So it can just start like that, right? And when you kind of get comfortable with that, you know. One more to go. One more to go. Man, congratulations if you stuck with me. This, I could see so many people just turn this off. This is pretty tedious work, I'll admit. But man, so glad I did this in the pandemic. It really opened things up. So my first instinct was like, if I'm in the key of F, you can do that, which would be great if you're doing like basing it off of like the grip for B. But there's also another one up here. So kind of like how we did before. Let me zoom out. There's a couple of options of where you want to put this note. What is that? The F. One kind of is nice for, do you want 2 notes on the B string, or do you want to kind of like sweep? Right? So both have their advantages. So let's see. So that's a sharp 4. Where's the 7? 7's right here. You could stretch up here, kind of like a Berkeley thing, or you could put that 3rd up there. So you have a couple of options. Pick one and go with it. So let's see. Or you could go. So there's your sharp 4 and 7 pairing. Let's see. Where's where? This thing doesn't like when I get too close to the edges here. Let's try this. Alrighty. So now 3 6. I'm going to go with the higher octave for 3. Try to kind of, since it is soloing, let's keep it up there. And then 3 6, your 6 chord is going to be there. Oh, I just now realized it should be a half diminished. So there you go. So, yeah, totally side note, but man, there was this, there's a guitar player named Ramon Stagnero. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm notorious for mispronouncing names. At any rate, check out his playing on the Andrea Bocelli's version of Bésame Mucho. It's some of the most beautiful nylon acoustic work you'll ever hear. And there's a lick there towards the end. So, but I think he's doing, I think he does it in C minor. So it's like a D half diminished. It's like right before the outro, but there's this a beautiful melody he does. Or that's what it is. So it'd be like B half diminished or D half diminished. And then it kind of does this outro. Anyway, check that out. Amazing player. But I always think of that now. I kind of learned this shape with half diminished. I associate that with him now. So like if I'm having a half diminished, I use that lick all the time. It has such a natural sound, but I find myself over time, when you're starting out, you want to find all the weird stuff. You want to find the stuff that's going to turn people's heads. Now, I love the idea of taking like maybe sophisticated harmony and crazy chords and making it sound like, someone's just singing over it natural. Like, you would hear, your grandmother humming a melody or something like that while she's working on something. So anyway, I digress. I do that a lot. All right, so that was 3, 6, 2, 5. Yes. And now let's get the 2, 5 in here. 2, 5. And then, last but not least, the 1 chord. Yay! All right, so to review, sharp 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. All right, I'm gonna try to play over this. 1, 2, 3, 4. My brain's going. So that's kind of what we're after. I mean, I find once I've taken the time to work this out, it's all that kind of hard work to where eventually you want to just be able to forget about it, and then you just see things. And now, it's kind of the first step to getting to where, if you're hearing something, you can find it. I don't know. That's how it is for me. That and a lot of transcribing. But man, working this kind of stuff out really helped. Maybe just to finish up, since we've come this far. So you would do that all in one key, the key that you're working at. If you really want to go deep with this, and the reason you want to go deep with this is because this progression is so many tunes. So I've been kind of adding to this as we go along, but check this out. Like Stella by Starlight, right? Hot House, see here. Let me get rid of my dumb face here. Let's get this guitar happening. All right. Editing on the fly. So one more time, I'll be at. It's in D flat. I don't know. What is it? Stand by. And we're back. All right. It's been forever since I played that tune. Played that on my senior recital, or no, my graduate recital. Well, I just disproved myself. I guess it doesn't go to D. Oh well. Never mind, I'm a moron. Oh, we got here. So, alright, well, I gotta take that one away. Alright, but there is no greater love but up. The last part. Oh boy. Blues for Alice. It does some tritone subs, but the idea is you start in F, but you want to land on B flat, so they go work your way back from B flat. if I try tone sub that out, you get the descending thing. You know, a lot of this stuff is kind of, as you learn all these different progressions and work them out, you start seeing them as like separate things and more kind of like you're dancing, you're swing dancing. You're like, I want to dance with my partner from here over to here. And, you know, from there you could do the basic step, or you could do twirls, you can do all kinds of moves. That's the same thing works for harmony. Any rate. And there's a really cool thing at the beginning of this.
Cash back with Chase Freedom Unlimited. Get 0% intro.
I really got to get an ad blocker if I'm going to do this.
How do you cash back?
All right, so right there, let's see. So it'll be a. I don't know. I don't have it quite worked out, but the moral of the story is. It's like they actually do like an F diminished, but you know. All of me, right? I've gotten way too long-winded. Sorry about this, but the main idea I was wanting to talk about is I'm just going to keep adding things as I find here. Check out those tunes. There's some sharp 4 movements, so that's why I spent all this time working on this progression, because you're not just learning this tune, you're not just learning this progression, you're learning parts of a lot of different things. So, all right, well, hopefully that helps. If not, sorry. Thanks for sticking this long, and yeah. So thanks for spending time with me. Hope that helps. We'll see you around. Feel free to ask me any questions in class, or if you want to shoot me an email. Would love to talk more about this. So take care. Have a good day.